Hey guys and gals, it's Mr. Know-It-All here, and I've got to share something with you on this beautiful Pensacola day. All right guys and gals, Mr. Know-It-All here, and this is a good video for you on how to fix your porch cap or any area of concrete you have that is draining back towards your house and you need to get it away from the house. This has plagued us since we bought the house a few years ago, and I'm going to pour it thin, but I'm going to show you a product that you can add to the concrete and make it really strong, whether you're pouring on black dirt, or you're pouring it thin. This stuff will really work well for you. But what I'm doing right now is I trim back the sill plate board, so I put a bunch of screws into it to lock into the concrete so it'll never settle, and then I caulked all the way around it in tons of caulk to make sure it doesn't leak back into the house or any of that. And what I did was I marked a line. That's the slope we're going to have right there, if you can see it right there. This is the board that I hilted or cement drilled into the existing concrete here, and that'll be taken out. We'll edge this and it'll come out real nice. This is a board that I cut at the slope that I want, and all I'm going to use this for is to screed off of it, screed this off, and then I'll do this side, and before I get to that board I'll pull it out. And I've only got it temporarily in there. You can see it moves, so I should be able to yank that right out of there and then screed across the joint area here, and then we'll put a nice 45-degree angle right here on this. But this is what you do when you have a porch cap or cement running back the opposite way of where you want it to go. So it's going to have a good slope to it and it'll work well. And you're going to mix up more concrete than you need, and I'm going to show you how to not waste it. So when we moved in here, they had a ton of these bricks. It needs to be power washed and cleaned up after all summer. So I decided for our fire pit here, instead of cutting little pieces of brick and all that to join up to it, I just decided I'm going to pour it, and I'm going to pour it on hard compacted black dirt. I've got to do some cleaning up a little bit here and there, but the stuff that I add to the concrete will make it really strong, and it will not settle. But all I did was I laid the bricks in line, I chalked a line across it, and then I took the concrete saw and I buzzed that off so I have a nice straight line there. But this is where my extra concrete will go, and I can add more concrete to it to finish this project out here. Let's get busy. All right, here's the tools you're going to need. I gotta tell you, on this little Ryobi electric 120 volt cement mixer, it works like a charm. We've used it extensively. Matter of fact, all this concrete here that needs to get repainted, all this and that whole sidewalk was poured by this little machine right here, and it did great. Plus we poured way more than that. So if you are wondering what kind of cement mixer you need, this one will do the job for you. So what we have here is, I'm going to try to mix it a little bit on the sandy side. So I've got sand, I've got half a bag of Portland, I have another full 80-pound bag in the back, I've got some more sand there, I've got this bag here of regular concrete to add in if I need to, and then this is the stuff right here you're going to add to the concrete. And I like to add 2 big handfuls. For that little area right there, I'll add 2 big handfuls of this and mix it in well. And it's fiber mesh, and I'm telling you what, it will do the job for you. And then there's all the tools we're going to use. The screed bar that I'm going to use is a piece of trim, and the reason I'm using it is because it has a rolled edge right here, and it'll work really well. Like I said, I will screed across this way, and then I'll come over and do that. And the key is this little board right here. That's the key to the slope, keeping it sloped exactly where we need it to go. I put a little piece of wedge under there because it is loose. I'm keeping it really loose, and I'll pull that out once concrete gets underneath it. I'm going to try to record as much of it as I can, but my main objective is to get this poured and have it come out perfect. I definitely do not want to do this job again. Pencil lines are all on there. Everything's good to go. So let's get at it. All right, I've got this wheelbarrow here with the pour spout on the front. Handy little wheelbarrow for doing this kind of stuff. Now we're gonna put some sand in. We'll put in the mesh and start adding some concrete till I get the consistency. I will be checking it with my hand. I know exactly the mixture I want, but if you have to do thin, 1/2 inch or more, 1/2 inch thick or more, you can use regular bags of concrete, regular bags. They have, the stone is usually pea stone, and it's usually 3/8 of an inch diameter. So you can safely do it on hard. Now dirt, it doesn't matter, the stone will go down into the dirt, but on concrete, poured on concrete, you want to make sure the stone doesn't impede you smoothing out the concrete. So let's get busy. You might see Lily wandering around here as we go, because that's what she does. She's a little black and white Spanky dog. Some sand. Two big handfuls of the mesh. That much. There's one. Two. And you will not believe how much stronger that'll make your thin concrete. Now we're going to add some Portland. Alright, so this gives you an idea what the concrete looks like. And there's the fiber mesh in it. It's real fibery. I could add more if I wanted, but that's going to be more than enough to make that strong. But that's the consistency you want right there. And because it's so thin, we're going to hand shovel it in, go from there. And if you want to know why when you see concrete trucks still spinning their barrel when they're on the road heading to the job, it's because when you keep the concrete moving very slowly, it can't get hard as quickly. Now we'll add a little water to the barrel so it doesn't harden in there. Now we'll take our screed board, rounded edge towards you. And you just want to skim your wet pad, so you're barely marking it. Very simple to do. Now you can strike backwards like this. Use your screed board. You can use your hand if you need to pull a little mud over there, but always remember to spray off your hand after you touch this. Concrete's made up of lye. We'll go back, keeping it on the board and watching your wet pad on the right. Make sure you're not digging into it. When you have a real big slope, you want to strike going up. Because when you go down, It'll pull the slope of the concrete down with you because it's wet. Now we'll spray off our screed board. That's our lifeline right there. Now I'm pretty sure I don't have enough concrete in the bucket, but I'm gonna put it in and start my way this way with it and run a wet pad down that side and fill it in. That's what I have left. That's what I gotta do. So I'm gonna put the rest of the concrete in and go from there. And then I have to mix up a little bit more. I can see a lot of the fiber mesh in there. My mixer wouldn't hold enough. I already overloaded it, so I couldn't actually mix up more. That, and I'm trying to beat the sun. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and one thing you do not want to do is try to pour concrete by yourself in the sun. Makes your job way harder. And this edge where the white board is, you want to make sure you tap on that so that it makes the concrete cream fill in up to the board so you don't have a bunch of holes and porosity when you pull this board off right here. When you rinse your tools off, this is the mesh that you get from rinsing it off. That's how much is in there. 2 big handfuls for about 1 mixer full of concrete. All right, we are waiting for it to dry up. The bleed water is still coming off it. It will probably take, if the sun was hitting it, it would dry right up. But there's no sun, and that's what I wanted. So here's how you know when it's time to mag it with your mag, this tool right here. And this is the edger we're using. It's a sloped edger. This is how you tell. If you touch it with your finger, you can see the water, but you see how wet my finger is? Not ready yet, so we gotta let that dry. It's going to get painted once we repaint the sidewalk and everything, the paint that we use, but we want to make it as nice as we can, and it will get brushed. So when I get to the point where I'm getting ready to brush it and finish it out, I'll come back. All right, I'm going to give you a few tips right now. I had enough concrete to put a little baby footing in. I used the rest of it in this area here that I'm going to actually pour tomorrow. But you see how quick it dried because it's on dirt. I already ran a brush over it and it shows brush marks. That's what happens when you pour a little bit of sun and dirt compared to pouring on top of concrete. Well, I got that poured along with the porch cap, and I used the fiber in this as well, and it's about 2.5 inches thick on good compacted black dirt. Harder than a rock here. It hasn't rained in a while, but we're going to take the scrubber to these bricks and scrub them all up clean. But it turned out real well. You can see the fiber in it right there. There's some right there. Nice brush on it. So you can do it. You can do it thinner, save yourself a boatload of money, and then trying to pour it 3.5, 4 inches thick. You can do it 2 inches, an inch. On concrete, you can pour it a 1/2 inch thick with the fiber in it. Came out real good. Got a good contrast, exact design we were looking for. All right, this is still really wet. That's because it's called bleed water. And I did run out of card, so I just finished it out. My board pulled right out of there like I knew it would, and then struck it off this concrete that I already had leveled out. I did that side over here off of this one. So the bleed water can't go anywhere. It's got to evaporate through the top. That's what happens when you pour on top of concrete. The water will come to the top. Do not overwork it. And do not use a steel trowel on it. Use a magnesium float. Now I'm going to let this set until it starts to dry up some. I'm going to brush it, and you can use any old brush you want. Since I sold all my concrete tools after we did the driveway, this is what I'm using. And then I'm going to be fancy and go around the edge, all the way around the edge with that paintbrush down there, and put a nice little edging of brush around it. When you pour concrete like this, you want to, what we call, bust an edge into it quickly to get the stone down. So I took my edger and I ran it along here to push the stone down. Even when it's wet, you just push the stone down, get it out of your way, so you can come back later and have nothing but cream to deal with, and it'll make your edging so much easier. All right, we're gonna do some more work to it and we'll be back. All right, guys and gals, it's all done, it's ready to go. Not done, but we have to brush it and we have to hit it one more time. It's dull, which means most of it is dried up, it's hydrated. And another thing we're going to do is take this board off so we can brush the front of this edging and clean any concrete off that may have gotten on the concrete there. So we're going to edge it one more time. And when you edge, you don't put the front down of the edger. You don't put that down. You keep on a slight tilt, like that, and try to go in one full motion. And then back, you tip it down with the back side up. If you don't, you gouge in. And if you pick it up while you're going, pick it up as you're moving it, like that. Now, if you deal with freezing weather, like up in Michigan, Minnesota, New York, New Jersey, any of those areas, you never use a steel trowel on your exterior concrete. That seals the water in, and what'll happen when it freezes, the whole top will spall. It's called spalling. Will come right off the top. It'll peel right off. So you always use a mag, one of these. Now I'm going to use a steel trowel because we don't deal with frost or cold weather that bad anyhow. And I'm just going to go one time across, take out that edge from the edger, this little edge right here. Now if you left that, if you brushed it and edged it again and left that edge there over the brush marks, it's called picture framing, and that depends on whether you like that or not. It's almost perfect consistency. Now remember, finishing it is the key. Nothing matters other than that. Nobody's going to look inside the concrete and go, oh, you got a stone in the wrong spot. They're going to look at the finish of the concrete. Troweling, you do the same thing. You're on a slight angle. It takes practice, but you can get it. Been doing this for 20 years probably. Now if you start brushing and you notice that it's starting to roll up little balls of concrete, dip your brush in water, spray it with a hose, shake it off, and then brush it, and it'll keep that from happening. So we're going to use the paintbrush and go around the edge. We're going to use the paintbrush to brush the whole thing. Now, that's done. It's got a nice texture on it, which means if it's wet, you won't slip and fall. Now what I'm going to do is picture frame the front of this front edge. Give it a little aesthetics. Now I'm going to take the board off the front. Short little tap cons. That's all you needed. Now what you do when you take the board off the front, especially when the concrete's wet, don't just pull it out towards you. Slide it to the left or the right. That keeps the board from sticking to the concrete and peeling a big chunk out of your concrete. So you take your hammer, which I'm going to use my mag, and just tap it. Slowly pull it away. There you go, folks. That's how you get the slope. I'll show you the slope to it. And if you look at the wood over on the far left, the redwood there, you see how much higher the concrete is up at the boards and how much lower it is in the front. All done. Mr. Know-It-All out.